Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Moments. Today we're diving into an interview that lasted only a few minutes, yet was enough to make the entire fandom explode. Because behind the light questions and the formal setting, there were glances, smiles, and tiny details that only those who have followed Jimin and Jungkook for years would understand. This short moment in Japan wasn't just a typical promotional segment. It felt like a small door reopening an old chapter in their relationship. Ready to see what made those 2 minutes feel so special? Jimin and Jungkook's interview in Japan, though brief and only a few minutes long, left a deep impression on fans who have followed their dynamic for years. On television, everything looked simple, light questions, playful answers, and the usual atmosphere of a quick promotional event. But for those who have witnessed the evolution of Jimin and Jungkook since debut, those minutes felt like a tiny spark that reopened a chapter full of warmth, trust, and closeness that words can barely explain. At a glance, they seemed to keep some physical distance. No noticeable touches, no spontaneous hugs, no over-the-top jokes like in their early Variety days. And yet, that's where the real power of the moment was. In the quiet pauses, in the space between words, in the glances that lasted for just a split second, there was something more mature, more grown, yet still deeply connected. As if they were in a phase of meeting again after a long time. A little shy, more careful, but still bound by a subtle thread woven long ago. And as always, the little details meant everything. One of the most talked about parts was how Jungkook kept watching Jimin throughout the interview. The look wasn't dramatic or exaggerated, but anyone who knows Jungkook knows this. He has never been able to hide his natural attention toward Jimin. In several moments, it was obvious how he reflexively turned to Jimin. When Jimin answered a question, when he chuckled, or even when he simply nodded. His gaze was calm, steady, and filled with a warmth that cannot be faked. Meanwhile, Jimin appeared with his signature cheerfulness, gentle, friendly, and radiating positivity. There was no awkwardness despite being very close to Jungkook. Even in a formal setting, his body language looked relaxed, as if he naturally found the right rhythm whenever Jungkook was beside him. That harmony felt familiar to fans, like an old melody suddenly playing again. The most interesting part came when the interviewer asked what food Jimin wanted to learn how to cook. With his small signature smile, Jimin answered, "Pasta." That simple answer immediately shook the fandom, because pasta has never been just a dish for them. Pasta is the meal Jungkook used to cook for Jimin the most. From Run BTS, to vlogs, to live streams, there were always moments where Jungkook cooked and Jimin ate wholeheartedly. So when Jimin mentioned pasta, many felt as though he was unlocking a shared memory box with Jungkook. Everything became even funnier when the host said, "Your teacher is right next to you," pointing at Jungkook. Jimin laughed, and Jungkook smiled shyly yet proudly. The kind of expression he only shows when something relates to Jimin. During the interview, Jungkook also admitted that he gets nervous when cooking without exact measurements. He's a perfectionist, everything must match his standards. But the sentence that followed made many fans go silent for a second. He said that all his discomfort disappears when he sees Jimin eating happily. His tone, his expression, the way he held back a smile. Everything felt sincere. Jungkook isn't the type to express feelings through long speeches. He shows affection through actions. Cooking for Jimin, making sure Jimin is comfortable, remembering what Jimin likes and dislikes. And that pattern still shows today, even in an official interview. When asked about his favorite dish cooked by Jungkook, Jimin calmly replied that Jungkook's cooking is indeed delicious. Not dramatic, not exaggerated, but it carried a sincerity that only comes from years of shared experience. Jimin has always evaluated Jungkook differently, more gently, more appreciative, more aware of the intention behind every action. Even though the interview was in a formal format, it still felt like there was a small space that belonged only to them. You could see it in their smiles, the pauses before answering, the way their bodies subtly leaned toward each other. Even without big gestures, that connection remained alive. As if they weren't on television, but just chatting lightly like in the dorms, backstage, or in the practice room. Many fans described it as a silent connection, something unspoken yet strongly felt. Time passes, they grow, pursue their own projects, but when they sit side by side, their rhythm remains the same. For years, cooking and eating together have been symbols of their relationship. And when the topic once again returned to food, that familiar feeling resurfaced. Many felt that no matter what changes out there, the core of their relationship stays the same. Jimin is still the person Jungkook wants to cook good food for. Jungkook is still the person Jimin trusts wholeheartedly. Pasta, simple as it is, became a tiny symbol of that bond. This interview reminded everyone of one important thing. Their relationship doesn't rely on big gestures. It's not about hugs on camera or loud jokes. Their connection lives in the little things. A quick glance that lasts a second, a small spontaneous smile. The way they respond without needing to look at each other. How Jungkook listens to Jimin more intently than anyone else. How Jimin feels comfortable simply by having Jungkook beside him. For fans who have followed them from the beginning, moments like this feel like coming home. Warm, simple. The interview lasted only a few minutes. But it was enough to remind many people that the connection between Jimin and Jungkook has never disappeared despite time passing. There is something constant, gentle, sincere, effortless. Every time they appear together, even in the shortest format, that something comes alive again. Jimin enjoying Jungkook's cooking. Jungkook being happy when Jimin is happy. Two people who understand each other even without words. Just a few minutes, but enough to touch countless hearts, stir nostalgia, and make fans believe once again that some bonds do not fade with time, distance, or change. And maybe that's why, to this day, Jimin and Jungkook's names continue to be mentioned together. Because their connection is not just a viral moment, but a long story that keeps growing, even in the simplest moments like this short interview in Japan. Thank you for watching Jikook Moments today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want more in-depth discussions like this. See you in the next video, and remember, sometimes the smallest moments hold the biggest stories.